Nobody, including me, anticipated how the problems that started in the mortgage markets would spread to our credit markets and our banking system.
That since 2000, you've taken home more than $480 million.
With the benefit of hindsight, would I have done things differently? Yes, I would have. I feel horrible about what has happened to the company and its effects on so many.
CD got into so much trouble and why these two well-paid executives didn't spot these problems sooner. Now,
the Federal Reserve helped orchestrate the deal, committing $29 billion in taxpayer money to back assets as part of an agreement for J.P. Morgan Chase to buy the stricken firm at a cut-rate price.
When Countrywide Financial engineered a sale of its company, the two CEOs, the two people in charge of the company, got $19 million bonuses. So they get a $19 million bonus while people are at risk of losing their home.
Evidently, CEOs' compensations are not reflecting their social impact or accounting for interests of key non-financially concerned stakeholders. CEOs' compensations are not even reflecting their long-term financial performance owed to shareholders. Where do ethical and societal incentives fit into a CEO's compensation package? Shouldn't long-term financial performance weigh more heavily than short-term swings? So how is a CEO's pay determined? Typically, there are three components. There are short-term incentives, long-term performance pay, and base salary and perks. Diving into base salary, we can see that this portion typically makes up 40% of a CEO's pay. This includes additional perks such as retirement allowance, interest-free loans, and other luxuries such as private jets, chauffeured limos, car allowances, health club memberships, and more. Short-term incentives, meanwhile, make up 30% of a CEO's pay. Short-term incentives are based on performance measures and group and individual benchmarks using metrics like EBIT, ROA, and SOE. This leaves the remaining 30% of a CEO's pay to be made up of long-term incentives or performance pay. From the outside, this may all look fine, but once we look closer at these bubbles, we start to see where the cracks appear. Let's first examine the flaws that exist with short-term incentives. A BCG analysis found a widespread disconnect between top executive pay and company performance. In 2008, 94% of companies analyzed had negative total shareholder return. While the overall average level of CEO pay declined from the previous year, about 40% of companies with negative total shareholder return actually paid their CEOs more in 2008 than they did in 2007. Moreover, the performance metrics that short-term incentives are based on can often be manipulated. CEOs can game the system by transferring effort from one period to another. They can manipulate net income by reducing expenditures on advertising, R&D, and employee training. These actions will cost the company in the long term, but result in a higher short-term annual bonus for the CEO. Now jumping over to the problems with long-term incentives. In theory, stock options given to CEOs are meant to lead them to making decisions that will initiate share price appreciation in the markets. However, these incentives are rarely linked to meaningful long-term performance metrics. If a stock price is plunging, CEOs may take on dangerous investments or decisions that don't consider the company's long-term viability in order to save that stock. Inherent in these decisions, no consideration is given to long-term growth, sustainability, and societal impact of the business. Finally, An interesting relationship to note is that of a CEO and the board of directors. The CEO determines the board's tenure, selection, and committee's assignments and compensation consultants. In return, the board of directors set the CEO's pay. It is clear that a conflict of interest exists here, but is often disregarded by corporations. If the current compensation practices elevate, alternatively, what if as a society we make a turn for the better and improve the executive compensation process? Let's take a look at two possible future scenarios.
Taxpayers all over the country were outraged when they heard that companies they helped bail out turned around and gave their executives huge bonuses. And now the Obama administration is about to take action.
Not exactly the glamorous life you'd expect from the CEO of one of the world's top 10 international airlines. And for 3 years running, slashed his own pay. In 2007, he made about $90,000 US, less than what his pilots earned.
We leave you with a final thought. If future business leaders are the ones who will be the change agents for such issues, which path will they lead us down?
Happiness.